How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and I am back, super excited. The PTR is finally here for January, and with it is going to come the Mutated dungeons. We are getting some Endgame content in New World. This is a super exciting time, and I'm sure it's going to be a blast to see what kind of goodies they have in store for us. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. I've already read through this a little bit, so I'll give you the TLDR so you don't have to read the entire thing yourself. But the important key parts to take away from here is that this is going to be active January 6th at 2 PM PST. So that's today, very soon actually. So you're going to be able to get in there and start testing everything ASAP. The biggest important things coming to this is going to be the expedition modifiers for mutators, the mutations that we were all hearing about and talking about in the dev interview. They are finally coming. So they say with this PTR release, they're introducing the new in-game feature, the expedition mutators. It's simple. It's basically you're going to augment the way normal and named enemies are found within the dungeons, and you're going to increase the rewards, increase the challenge, and make players commit to strategies and basically just have really good gear, really good setup in order to power up their stuff. In addition to this, there's going to be 10 mutated levels or difficulties that is going to come with various mutations. So mods are going to be placed like they explode, or they're doing extra damage, or there's a puddle on the ground or something. All of these factors are going to be shuffled in, and then it's going to rotate through a cycle of mutations, and especially on dungeons. So you're going to see multiple dungeons per week having this mutated factor in it, and it's going to kind of cycle out. So it'll be Lazarus one week, then it'll be Genesis, and then it will maybe Dynasty Shipyard or whatever else comes its way. There's a high recommended gear score with this, so it looks like they're going to start us all off with 600 gear score in the PTR, so that means they're expecting players to be at max equipment to walk into these dungeons to progress, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that the mutated factor 10 is going to be very, very hard, and you're going to have to work your way up and get some good gear along that route in order to get up there. So that's going to be a very interesting part coming into the game here, and it looks like we have a scoring system as well for that mutated dungeon. So the score system is performance-based. It's going to be taken in from a combination of categories, and the score is a shared value for the group members. So your entire group is going to be scored. The following categories count towards the group's overall score. That's going to be a time. The better your time, the better the score. It's calculated at the end of the run. You're going to have AI kills, so you have to kill a certain amount of enemies within the expedition. Then takedowns is going to be for killing named enemies within the expeditions. There's also team wipe counter that will reduce your score if you have a team wipe during a boss fight, as well as respawns, like the amount of time you die and have to respawn at the little pylon. These are all going to be taken into account, and you will be ranked on a medal system, which is going to be bronze, silver, gold. I'm guessing there's going to be a point value as well, so it's going to reward. I'm guessing you're might have to have so many points to advance to the next mutation, or maybe a medal, right? Like you need gold to advance, or maybe silver to advance, or whatever that is. But that definitely sounds like a lot of fun, right? Like that's something we've been missing, is statistic tracking, scoring systems, anything we can get our hands on to get some sort of competitive like nature going in the game, especially for in-game content, and hard in-game content is going to be greatly welcomed. It is finally time to have some in-game. I'm super hyped for this. So it looks like they go on to elaborate that the expedition mutations have schedules, so it's going to be a faster schedule on the PTR, so it's going to cycle through Dynasty Shipyard, Garden of Genesis, and then Lazarus Instrumentality. But on live, I'm guessing it'll probably be a lot slower. It'll be like, this one's for the whole week, and you can go in and prepare as you want. So we can't wait to see the kind of goodies that are going to be coming for that. And of course, I will be hard at work on the PTR. As always, you guys know me. I live and breathe the PTR. So I'm going to show you all the expeditions that I encounter. I'm going to show you my strategies that I'm using. I'm going to give you my thoughts at the end of it, so that way you can get a good advantage when it hits the live system coming in. So with this, we have some expedition changes. They are going to increase the rewards and the drop rates for the monsters within the mutated dungeons. So the drop rates for named enemies and expeditions have been increased significantly. So I don't know by how much, but it says significantly, so hopefully it's quite a lot. Tier 5 gear has been added to the Dynasty Shipyard loot table, so that's going to bring it up in line with Garden of Genesis and Lazarus Instrumentality when it's a mutated dungeon. And they've also adjusted a few like enemy counts here and there just to kind of balance things out. So this is giving me a lot of vibes from like Mythic plus keys and WoW, where you have to hit a certain amount of enemies within a certain time, and you need to get all the named bosses and monsters on checkpoints killed and accomplished in order to, you know, finally like finalize your run at the end and get a score. And that's going to be really fun to see. I'm super hyped to get in there and start doing these. I've been preparing for this for a while with a team. You know, we got gear ready, we got consumables ready. We've been doing speed runs of Genesis and Lazarus in like 15 minutes, somewhere around there. So it's been fantastic, and we are hyped and ready to go for this. They have a little bit of stuff about PTR stuff. If you want to read over that, you can. I'm going to skip over to it. Because all it's basically saying is that, oh, okay, we're going to give you 625 gear eventually to take on the mutation dungeon. But yes, you've heard that right, 625 gear is coming. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. The new features, the Umbral Shard equipment upgrade system. If you may have noticed in game currently, even right now, you can right click an item and it'll say something like upgrade on the item. When you mouse over, it'll say, well, you don't have enough Umbral Shards. That's exactly what this is. It is going to be the new system to upgrade your items, and this is going to come from the mutated dungeons, but it's also going to come from crafting and the Gypsum cast, or the expertise system that we currently have in the game. So there's going to be a lot of ways to get that up. So all of a sudden your Gypsum casts are going to be worth a lot now. Creating and doing those dailies is going to be great. Crafting is going to have a new avenue to create items at 600 gear score and above. And then the mutated dungeons, of course, are probably going to contain a bulk of those powerful items and Umbral Shards, where you can get a large variety of those going in. So it looks like right here you can start at 600. Once a gear piece is at 600, it can be raised to 625 with the Umbral Shard system, and that counts for crafted gear as well as the mutated dungeon gear, and also gear that you can get from the cast from the expertise system. You're going to be able to ascend that 590 block and get up into a 600 plus area, and that's going to allow you to get very high level items. So our expertise levels is going to go up as well. So this is going to bring forth a whole new gearing era, right? Every piece of gear you have before can now be upgraded if it was already 600. If it wasn't 600, well, then you're going to have to change it up and probably get a new piece of gear, but it's going to give you something to strive for, right? The old best in slot is no longer best in slot. Some of these items coming from the dungeons may be super powerful. You're probably going to see high level versions of stuff. And since Dynasty Shipyard is being upped to a high level gear score, you're going to see a lot of high quality items coming from Dynasty Shipyard, and maybe even some of the other expeditions that may be coming in with that mutated system. We'll have to see what all they have in store for us, but for now it's just those three. So if you read down here, there are 3 ways to obtain these 625 items with the Umbral Shards: completing the mutation expeditions, crafting gear with a score minimum of 600 and your expertise with that item is already at 600, and then opening a Gypsum cast when your expertise for the item is also at 600. The Umbral Shards can only be applied to equipment piece if both of those 2 conditions are met, so you have to have those in. Your expertise has to be 600 for the item, and the gear score of the item has to be 600. We also see some small changes coming to Outpost Rush. They went ahead and buffed the amount of resources required to summon the Brute, and that's definitely a good call because Brutes are terrorizing Outpost Rush at the moment. They're just so hard to kill. Yes, it's going to cost more to summon them, but I think they're still going to be incredibly strong. Honestly, I would like to see some sort of if no enemies are around the Brute, then it dies faster, or if you control the base, the Brute dies quicker or something like that, because the Brute just being up forever causes a lot of issues in the long term. So that's just kind of weird. But anyways, we also have some few combat updates, and this one's gonna suck for my bow user friends. They fixed an issue with bow users, allow them to instantly jump cancel the bow shot after recovery. That was a really cool mechanic, and I'm actually sad to see that go. But I understand why it probably does need to, because it's a little weird that they can just kind of be mobile and jumping and shooting like that, whereas other classes can't do the same thing. And then there was a few other small fixes here and there. And then finally, our last major change, which is a huge change actually, fast travel costs have been reduced across the board by a lot. They've noted here that they've heard our frustrations with the cost of fast travel, and the release includes an update that dramatically reduces the distance factor and the amount of Azoth required for each trip, and accordingly, the faction control point bonuses associated with the fast travel now reduces the distance factor to 0. So it's going to be super cheap, if not free, if you control those forts. So that's going to be nice to see. No longer are the days of constantly, paying 400 Azoth to travel to some town just to offload your storage that you have in another town. We can finally freely move across the map, so that is going to be fantastic. But all in all, I think these patches are great. They are phenomenal. I'm going to include the link to this so that you can read through all the full notes for yourself down below. Make sure to check that one out. But I think this patch is going to be great. It's bringing in endgame content. It's bringing in new gear and new milestones to achieve for, and the biggest thing is that the in-game content is supposed to be hard. I can't wait to see what mutation factor level 10 for the dungeons has in store for us. I hope that it's very challenging, and I love these scoreboards, I love these leaderboards, and the teams getting ranked together as a team, as a unit. That's going to be great to make for like speed run competitions and just people making videos and stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Definitely going to be some fun time. So I will get hard to work on this on the PTR as soon as possible. As soon as these PTR comes up, I'm going to be on there lighting it up and figuring everything out, and I will share with you my thoughts. I will share with you my strats, my pulling strats, my everything. I'm going to tell you everything about all that stuff, but it's definitely going to be a blast coming into the future, so I'm super hyped for this, and I think it's going to do a lot of good for New World. That being said, if you have not already, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell down below. We also have a Discord if you're interested in chatting on socials, as well as a Twitter if you want to follow us, and we have a join button if you're interested in becoming a member today. Thank you for your time and watching this video, and we will catch you in the next one. Shout out to Mantras.